Everyone, in case you guys don't know me, I am Charlene, founder of Africa Coffee and Tea, as well as the space here in Act House. So for those of you who has actually been to Africa Coffee and Tea? All right. Well, more and more I see familiar faces. And certainly who has not? First time here. Well, big welcome to all of you. So I want to give you a special warm welcome for the first timer. Africa Coffee and Tea is on across the corridor. We've been in the establishment for nearly 8 years by November of 2017. But like everybody said, Hong Kong, we set ourselves in March of 2023. So we are super grateful that we are still here after the protests and COVID. So having said that, we do need to have a community like you guys to come support and certainly bring more of your friends so then we can continue to have the business. As we all know, Hong Kong economy is going through a lot of challenges, and the fact that is we need to keep our business sustainable and to continue to grow this community, especially for the Africans community, because it is not myself, it is a community that we need to bring all of us, the Africans, non-Africans, ones who are trying to really elevate what Africa is. And this is why you're here tonight as well. So I just want to give you a warm welcome, especially to an amazing lady, Lorenzo, who recently moved to Hong Kong, but she is the shakers and makers of Hong Kong. And we must need to give her a huge clap to say that she's my sister. Yay! So, you know how we met is recent, right? But you know, the moment we met, we're like, we're sister. And so I want to welcome all of you. And how this night happened is not because of myself. I have a venue. I do have a beautiful venue. However, we need individuals like Lorenzo to make this happen, to bring all of you guys here tonight. So having said that, I want to bring this microphone, hand this over to her, and give a big clap to Lorenzo.
Thank you, Charlene. Bring the venue to life, right? I think that's what she means. Good evening, everybody. My name is Lorenzo Temba, and I am going to be your host tonight. I want to sit down for this one. I just want to start by saying I am so happy to see all these different beautiful spaces that are here. Because Abantu Voices has been an idea that I sat with and I thought, this could work, right? And then obviously you get people that say, nah, girl, come on. Or, yeah, but it's going to cost you a fortune. But what makes Abantu Voices is Abantu. Abantu means people in isiZulu, a language that I speak in South Africa. Abantu is about us, the real VIPs, the real exports of Africa, right? Yes, sure, Africa has its rich minerals, its gold, it's copper, it's diamonds, cocoa. I mean, you know, the list is endless. But really, the true diamonds of Africa are us, the people that come from there, the people that are uprooted from Africa, go all over the world, and they still make it. And they thrive and they shine, and that is what Abantu Voices is about. It's about amplifying those voices, African voices, people within the African diaspora, to really just demonstrate and showcase our talents from the stage to the boardroom, everywhere. But more than anything, Abantu Voice is about having a safe, inclusive space where we can all just connect, we can learn from each other, we can, connect professionally. I mean, if you connect beyond that, that's that. That's fine, right? But it's about having a space that we can call our own, that also includes the broader African community and the Hong Kong community. So I'm so glad to just not see people that look like me, but people that are from the overall Hong Kong community. So that's on that. That's what I wanted to start my soliloquy with. But thank you so much for coming. Today is an exciting night. I call it Abantu Fridays because it really is that, right? I look forward to it. Even my son knows, he's 5. I wake up and I'm like, it's Abantu Friday! And she's like, yeah, what does that mean? But what it means really is that we gather here, we're looking amazing, and we're not only just going to end the conversation here, we're going to continue as we connect, as we learn, as we exchange contacts. So this is a safe space for us to do that. And I really want you to take opportunity and take advantage of the fact that you can find a mentor here. You can find someone who's going to hold your hand and maybe even direct you to the sort of space that you're not sure you wanted to navigate. You can find your next job here. You know, you never know. You never know who's here. You never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. But let's get the party started. As in true fashion of aviation, can you please buckle up? Do they even say please? They don't, eh? They say buckle up. And ready for takeoff, that's right, Tizo. So we are focusing on aviation, amplifying excellence in aviation tonight, right? I mean, we're good, right? We're good in any sort of field that you take us in. But with aviation, I was doing some research around it, and I thought to myself, who is the first African female pilot? And they gave you different names, and I thought, this is confusing. But I was having a word about it with Phil, and he basically said to me, look, there is obviously, reliable data, and it actually extends back to the 60s, you said, right? Where we have been doing these trailblazing initiatives. We have been, up there in the sky, but it's sad that, you still get very little representation in the cockpit. But I'm so excited that out of the 3,000 Cathay Pacific pilots, we've got 2 of them tonight. I want you to please give a resounding warm welcome to a brother, a handsome brother, if I might add, our senior, very esteemed. I'm trying to hype you up here. Whoa! But let's give a hand to Philip, who's going to join us on stage today. So Philip Marumahoko is, actually no, let me not do that work. How about you tell us, who are you actually? Who are you? I've known you probably the first couple of months that I got to Hong Kong, and I remember being so impressed. We were at a barbecue, and I seen this guy, and I thought, man, this guy's a rapper, Seriously, I'm like, no, he's probably, rapping, whatever, or something very creative in the industry. And this guy, not only were you really like such an easy to talk to person, but you really, really surprised me by telling me that you were actually, in aviation. So before we get to you being what you're on now, tell us about where did it all start for you? Give me a picture of 3-year-old Philip, really. It starts there, right?
No, it's great. Is this on? Hi, I'm Philip. Good to meet you guys. 3-year-old Philip. Okay. So I've always wanted to do aviation ever since I was 2 or 3. And my mother used to live in the UK just after the war in Zimbabwe. And then they moved back to Zimbabwe. And then she had friends and family still there. So 3 years old, got into an airplane, flew to Ghana, then flew to the UK, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. Yeah. So got back home after that trip, and then I would put plastic bags on my arms and jump off the sofa, flapping, try to fly. And I'm like, nah, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way than this. So yeah, since I can remember, that's all I wanted to do.
Wonderful. You see, it wasn't by mistake that I asked him at 3, right? Mm-hmm. Because it really does start there. This is where we start, the seed gets planted. But who was the person that was supporting you loudly or even silently? Let's start with the loud person, the person who said, Phil, you can do whatever that you want. Who was that person for you?
That would be my mother. She was the inspiration because she was a nurse during the war, and after she went to the UK, she was a midwife, came back, and she became a sales rep at Johnson & Johnson, and then through Pfizer and all the medical field and stuff. And so she always faced that glass ceiling that exists for a lot of people, as well as, being a black woman in that sort of world. She really struggled. And so she was the inspiration. She was the one telling me that you can do whatever you want. Look at me. She would do, she would wake us up in the morning, cook us breakfast, we would go to school, come back, make dinner, and then study for her degree, which she got a few years later. So she was the one who really pushed me forward.
Yeah. And it's very deliberate that I'm asking about those family connections. Family, for me, is probably the most important organization in the world, right? But it's not all of us that have it. So we should count ourselves as very privileged to have it. But I know that there's someone very specific in your family that played a very pivotal role, Philip, which was Lionel? Tell me more about Lionel. Who is that guy?
LT, yeah. So he's my uncle. He's my father's youngest brother. And yeah, he was always the, I guess the adventurous one in the family, right? He started working at Coca-Cola in the 90s and kind of worked his way up and ended up becoming the CEO of Southern Africa for Coca-Cola. And so he was originally called Lionel, but then he saw my middle name Tawanda, so he adopted that, and that's why we call him LT. And yeah, he paid for my flying career because he really believed in me going through it. And when it was tough, I'd give him a call and just kind of hang out, and can't wait to play golf with him, yeah.
Yeah. So there's the uncle, there's the mom that you've mentioned. Outside the family home, did you have many mentors within the aviation space when you eventually got there?
Yes, I did. Okay, so in 2005, I believe, 2004, 2005, I was introduced to KK Moyo. Is KK here yet? Yeah? He's not here?
By the way, there's lots of pilots in the house. I mean, Charlene was asking like if anybody has been to ACT, put up your hands, and I saw a few hands. But who has been in the cockpit? Can you put up your hands? Oh, come on, don't be shy, don't be shy. But yes, we obviously have a lot of support, people in the aviation industry that probably know you, but they still just want to hear those beautiful stories and anecdotes. But carry on.
So KK, he was flying for Air Zimbabwe, and he was my inspiration. My motivator, my mentor at that stage. I was like a 19-year-old kid with dreadlocks playing in a Christian band, and yeah, we would sit down and he would just tell me the steps in the process to get through to where I am now. And now he's come to Cathay as well, which is pretty cool. So it's all full circle.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a niche sort of job that you guys have. There's about 3,000, according to Google, there's about 3,000 pilots within your particular airline, right? And listen to this, they have an 8.3 representation of females. And we're going to be speaking to one of the females. So that's pretty cool, right? But I'm very keen to know around, representation of people that look like us in Cathay. How does that look like? Just, take us into your day at work. Phil, how does it look like? How do you prepare for your day, first of all, and until I guess you land the plane after takeoff?
How do I prepare? So what it looks like is if you take like a glass of milk and then put like, a fly in it. That's what it looks like. It's very one-sided. Aviation is a male Caucasian industry. So standing out is going to happen immediately. So you kind of have to get ready for that, for some of the questions you'll be asked. Some of the fallacies you have to disprove. And if someone has to run 100 meters and another pilot has to run 100 meters, we have to run 110, 120, sometimes even a marathon, right, as you know. So it's just getting into that headspace, The school I went to in Zimbabwe was also very white dominant. And so my mother would always say, you're going to a good school, but remember you're not like them. You're different. And that's kind of carried through. So every time I go to work, I put on my work face, right?
How does that look like? I want to see this work face.
So there's a lot more, I choose my words very carefully when I'm at work, and I really don't let people in sometimes, which can be a bad thing. I was speaking to someone earlier, we have to share what's called a mental model, right? You can't just fly an airplane by yourself. You have to tell the person what you're doing. And that's kind of difficult, especially if I just don't want to talk to the person, right? So it's humbling, and you have to have a lot of patience, as you know, right?
And it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because you are part of a program at your work where you're trying to essentially forge that sort of relationship. I believe it's called the crew resource management. Can you tell us more about that? What does it actually mean? Not just for the organization, but for you.
Crew resource management?
Correct.
Yeah, crew resource management, or CRM as we call it, is a program that was developed in the 70s and 80s because there were just too many airline crashes happening. So they tried to figure out why is this happening? Yeah. What are the human-to-human interactions, the human-to-technology interactions, and how do we maximize the safety and come out with a positive outcome at every flight? So every year we have to do it, it's a regulatory item. So I facilitate, and I will go up on stage and run through different topics every year. And what it really is, it's about learning how to communicate with other people from different cultures, and even how you are affected by things like maybe you didn't get enough sleep, or you haven't eaten, or you had a bad day, the kids are crying, or something like that. Yeah.
And do you feel that maybe I guess would put us, when I say us, I mean people that are in the minority in your organization, at an advantage, because then when we better understand each other and what we'll go through, then we better understand what we have to put in the sort of professional space.
Not really, no. I think just by doing it, I enjoy speaking in front of people.
Okay.
I enjoy teaching.
You're good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I haven't really looked at it like that. For me, it's just a way to expand my aviation knowledge and use my skills and my I guess you call like powers, right? The powers that I have to my advantage to progress in this thing. And standing up in front, yes, I do give representation of different cultures and different people towards the company, but at the end of the day, for me, it's just a way to expand on aviation knowledge and stuff. Yeah.
Speaking of teaching, you were in South Africa teaching, other aspirant pilots. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was exciting. That was a lot of fun. So I went to flying school in South Africa, and then after I got my license, I became a flight instructor. I spent about 2 years teaching people how to fly. This was just after the global financial crisis, so there wasn't much flying happening. People really didn't have money, or extra money to spend to learn how to fly. So South Africa and its history is very difficult at times, right? There will be times where someone comes to learn to fly, and they see me and they're just like, why are you here? And I'm like, no, I'm teaching you. I'm going to teach you how to fly. And sometimes they would even like cancel lessons on me and stuff like that. But it is what it is, right? So I think what my mother gave me, that sort of like just get the job done and do your best and always see the end result and not what's happening in front of you. When that happened, I'll just continue on and go on with my day. And what ended up happening is because I was so focused on just getting the job done and not worrying about what these guys are doing, I was like one of the top instructors at the school. So at the time of leaving, people actually wanted to fly with me, those same ones who didn't want to before. So yeah.
It's basically going back to what you're talking about, how people have to run 100, you have to run 120, 140 sometimes. But you have a very interesting story that you shared with me. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing it here, around, actually piloting a plane and this person flips out on you. Just, can you tell us more about that? Basically talking to the fact that they just would not trust your capabilities purely because of the way you looked.
Sure, okay. So early in the morning I had an introductory flight for a new student, and he heard me on the phone, and I had my work voice on, right? So he saw the name Philip, so he was like, oh, okay, clearly it's gonna be a white man, right? So I show up early and he's there, and then I'm like, good morning, I'm Philip. He's like, hey, I'm whatever his name was. And I was like, dude, you're early. It's like, we've still got 30 minutes, right? Do you want a cup of tea? And the way he looked at me was like, yeah, that's what you should be doing. You should be making me tea, right? Like, he didn't say that. He was just, you could just feel it, right? You could just feel it.
Some looks just give you a lot of words, right? You don't have to say anything, but you can see that look, okay?
Right?
We understand.
Yo.
Yeah.
So the manager came in, and I went into his office. I was like, yo, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to fly with this guy. He was like, no, just go out, do the job. I was like, oh, okay. So took him out to the plane, and the whole time he's just looking at me like, seriously? We're gonna do this? And the plane is small, it's tiny, right? So you're right next to this guy. So we taxi out, and he's not really talking. It was just a very awkward situation, right? So I'm on the radio speaking to Tower, and I knew the person. Her name is Zainab. She's in Cathay now at the ATC there. And so Zainab and I were making jokes, and then we take off. Now we're in the air. Now, like, there's nothing this guy can do, right? I have control. So flying along, and then I say, yeah, you have control. You fly the plane, right? And he's like, he's very nervous, and he's like, no, come on, like, really fly the plane. And I started to show him what the plane can actually do. The takeoff, my manager told me for the takeoff what I should do is, it's like pretty much like a flyby, right? Flyby the school. So we got airborne, and the school was at the end of the runway. Got airborne, and then we stayed low, and then he came out with the guy's wife. And at that point, we turned the wing, and we could see them. They could see us. We're like waving at each other. And he was like, holy shit, like, oh my gosh. So we go out, and now we're having fun. Now he's actually starting to enjoy it. And then we got to this place called Hartbeespoort Dam, which is like I guess like a holiday place, right? And he's like, oh, I got a house down there. I was like, oh, which one? He was like, oh, that one. Somehow he found it. So we flew around the house, and we're having fun. I was having fun at that point, but I was also angry still, right? So coming back, touchdown, best landing I've ever done. Taxi back, and this guy smiles from ear to ear at this point. And so, yeah, he was like, oh, this is fantastic, Like, when can we do another lesson? I was like, yeah, no, I'm busy. So, yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, and I really wonder about your experience now, because we're not in South Africa. South Africa, just in case we need to give some context, we obviously come from a very terrible racial background that was marred by apartheid and segregation, right? And while it's been over 30 years, there are still some pockets of society that treat black people very badly. And this is what Philip is really, talking about, around how, people would even just not be trusting of his expertise, even though he's got the same license as someone else who just doesn't look like him. But I'm glad that that's in the past. Tell us about Asia. So, you go from all these different places. You've lived in different places, by the way. You've also lived in Australia, I think?
Yeah, I lived in South Africa, Australia, and here. Yeah.
Right, and without any, close your ears, Charlene, which is your favorite place to live in right now?
Out of the 3 places I've lived?
Yes.
I wouldn't say there's a favorite, because each one was perfect for me at the time.
Correct.
So Zimbabwe, I needed to be in Zimbabwe at that time, right? Because that taught me resilience. I needed to be in South Africa at that time because that taught me patience.
Whoa.
I needed to be in Australia at that time, and that taught me never to live in Australia because it's so hot there. So. And then Hong Kong, like 14 years here, I've seen I think it's the greatest city in the world.
Wow. Wow. We can clap to that. Look, it's a city full of so many possibilities, and that actually reminds me, I would love whoever's comfortable when we're done with the fire chat. My colleague here behind us, Jay, is going to be outside, where if you could just share a couple of words around your experience of Abantu Voices, but more than anything, what is your most favorite thing about living in Hong Kong? I think, we want to just highlight that to the world. So we'll put it on our social media platforms, and just so people can see that, hey, there's people like us that are loving being here, and we're interacting in this beautiful community that is Hong Kong. I want to get a bit unserious, but before we do, are you able to take us through a moment that was a disappointment at the time, but it became a teachable moment and you had to grow from it and I guess rise from that? I know it's a bit of a dense one, but if you could, because I think it's important that we share such moments on a professional level so that we, whatever we're going through, we're able to at least, find some sort of connection to your story.
Yeah, so when I was a flight instructor, I actually did the flight instructor exam or the course with another person named Sebastian. And Sebastian was a tall Dutch white man. And so we were both grade 3 instructors. There are 3 grades of instructors, grade 3, 2, and 1, where 1 is allowed to give out all the licenses, basically. And 3 just teaches people how to fly. 2 is somewhere in the middle. So after about 6 months of being grade 3 instructors, it was time to upgrade to grade 2. And I'd done the exams and I'd done all the work, and this was my chance to now step up to the next level. So I went to the manager, I said, hey, I'm ready. Can I upgrade? And he said, we'll wait for Sebastian. Because you guys, you did it together, so you'll go through together. It's just cheaper for the company. I said, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. 1 year goes by, nothing. Then my brother was graduating from his industry, so I went on holiday with my parents. Go on holiday, and I come back 10 days later, and I get back to the school, and Sebastian has been upgraded. He's been promoted. So I go to the manager, I'm just like,
what's going on?
Yeah, this is cool, this is wrong. And then he was an interesting man. He would be on your side, but then he'd also be on the company side, right? And so he said, well, it was in our interest to upgrade him over you, and you just weren't here. I said, yeah, I was on holiday. And he was like, no, Phil, you need to respect the hierarchy here. He's been upgraded before you because he's better for you, it's better for the company. And I was like, okay, it's time to leave.
Was it a teachable moment for you?
I left the company, yeah. I left the company because I knew at that point, by going to the grade 2 position, I was just staying at the school. And that kind of pushed me out, that pushed me forward, and that's when I applied to Cathay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a teachable moment because you then, got better, I guess. But I think what I'm also getting from that story on a personal level is that sometimes you have to just be where you're appreciated. And when you are not appreciated, it's okay to just say, look, maybe our goals are not aligned right now. Let me try somewhere else. But let's get a bit, loosen up a bit. And thank you for bringing us into your space. Really, I really appreciate the depth of the stories that you've had to share. But I do want to know a couple of things about you, right? So we are in Asia. We are amplifying African excellence in Asia, yes. But what's if you could have, and Hong Kong particularly has amazing food, right? We agree on that point. What's the one food that you would, I guess a food swap, if you had to put it that way, like, one plate of food that you would want Zimbabweans to have, and what's the one plate of food that you would love for Hong Kongers to have from Zimbabwe? I missed that. What was that?
I make a really good potato salad.
Oh.
Yeah, we should. We should, yeah. Let me answer the second one, right?
Yeah.
Every person in Hong Kong needs to eat Zsa-Zsa Maine because there's...
What is that?
Zsa-Zsa Maine.
What is that? What is that?
Ugali or pap.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
There's...
Maybe take us through what does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it remind you of? I'll just repeat that question so we all can hear each other. What does that particular meal remind you of? What does it taste like? What is it?
it tastes like home, you know?
I love
It's the weirdest thing because, with the diaspora family, everyone's everywhere. And my job allows me to go visit a lot of family in different places. But whenever I go there and I have Zsa-Zsa there, I'm home, And like, even I got back from London on Wednesday and I was exhausted. I was so tired. So I just made Zsa-Zsa, And I was like, yeah, this is perfect.
I think you can also get that here at ACT, right? Yeah?
Private booking, yes.
All right, and maybe let's just wrap it up with some questions from the audience. I always like to do that. We've heard Phil share his beautiful story of where it started and where you are now. And congratulations, by the way. You are trailblazing. You are a disruptor. You are definitely a maverick. And this is what Abantu Voices is here to highlight. Anyone who would want to just throw in a question? Okay, I've got a hand there and I've got a hand there. Let's start over here, Tidi.
Hi, Phil. Beautiful story. But I think I was taken aback by I didn't know that you've been here for 14 years, which I think is quite incredible. And I think if you had to have any advice for anybody in terms of how to cope, what is your thing? What is the thing that you do, one or two, that helps you to refocus yourself and ground yourself so that you can keep going? I think that would be really great for everybody else to know.
And that is a beautiful question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Community, family, get yourself a family here. Whether it's an actual family or what's most common is a group of friends who become your family. That is the most important. We live out in Tungsho, and the family there that we built is everything, right? And so even if you have like a long day, like sometimes I'll come back from a flight exhausted, and these guys are out drinking beer, and I'm like, pour me one too, right? Yeah. And just to have that is good, yeah. So I think that's the best way to cope after 14 years. It took a while to get the family, but yeah, that's how you do it.
That's such beautiful advice. 13 years you said, right?
14.
14 years that you've been here, and you're pretty right in that sense. Like get your crew, get your people. You got a question?
Yeah, thank you.
And also, sorry, just introduce yourself so we know who we're speaking to, where you're from.
Okay, so my name is Bukola. I'm a Nigerian living in Hong Kong. All right, so this question is just from my random thoughts when I'm on the plane. Yeah. So I flew Cathay Pacific actually yesterday. I just came into Hong Kong yesterday morning, and it was an overnight flight. And I was saying to myself, I was so tired, I want to sleep. And I'm like, how is it with the pilots? It's night. You guys don't see. So how do you go? So I was thinking, like, how do they even see this road? When you're on the main road, you can see the road. But this is the clouds. So how is it for you? Day flight and night flight? What do you do? How was it for you? Yeah.
And do they put their headlights on? I love that. Yeah. I mean, we've all wondered, right? Yeah. So tell us. I mean, just yeah. Just relieve my dear sister there.
Thanks for the question. So when we learn how to fly, yes, you look outside, but then that is not the only way we fly. In fact, a safer way to fly is to use your instruments, right? Because the plane knows more than what your eyes can see. So it will be telling us, the wind speed and the routes, and it has GPS and all that. So we're actually using the instruments to fly. The windows are only for takeoff and landing, and for taking cool pictures, right? So it's all on my Instagram. You can check it out. So when we are flying at night or daytime, sometimes it doesn't really matter, right? We are using the instruments to fly at that point. And even sometimes we will land the aircraft on the ground, never seeing the ground. Right, yeah. Because the technology these days is insane. Like, I remember coming into Vancouver, just cloud everywhere, and you couldn't see the runway, right? So coming down, and then the planes descending, and then the radio altimeter, which is a radar that sends signal to the ground to tell you how high you are, it's decreasing, right? It's 500, 400, coming down, and then it says 100. And then at 50 feet, right? 50 feet is from here to there. And at 50 feet, I'm like, oh my days. I couldn't see anything, right? And then it starts raising the nose, and the power comes back, and then we're on the ground, and the speed brakes deploy, and the nose comes down. And then as we slow down, then I was like, oh, that's the light. Yeah. So the technology is really good.
When you're doing this thing, It's not a joke, yeah? Hey, no. Can you imagine? You're pulling that thing, you're going down, and we can die anytime, eh?
That's
You're in good hands, Jackie. Don't worry. You're in good hands. Out of curiosity, because we do need to wrap it up, though. And by the way, Phil is around, so you can pose any question to him, one-on-one. Unfortunately, because we just need to go for a little break. Okay, maybe just the last one, if possible. But while I'm walking to her, how many people have you flown? Like, what's the biggest number of people that you've flown per flight?
457.
Yeah, hi
Boeing
everyone.
777. And
I'm
we had
Lily.
11
I'm from
babies.
Cameroon. I've been in Hong Kong for.
Maybe just stand up, please.
Okay. So I'm Lily. I've been in Hong Kong for quite almost 10 years ago. So I want to ask maybe my question. So maybe stupid, but
There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yes. For many flight craft accident, there's almost one survivor. So my question is that, is there any secret place
Like a safe seat. Is there a seat that we should be like all getting? Thank you for your question, Lily.
That's a great question. That's a great question. And don't worry about it being stupid. There's no such thing as a stupid question, right? In terms of aviation safety, I think every seat is safe. But I will give you a tip. If you don't like turbulence, you should sit near the wing and just in front of the engine, right? On the wing, right? Like the turbulence, right? Because at that point there, it rocks the least. So that's So at the front where we are, we're getting tossed around, and then if you're at the back, it's also quite rough as well.
Wow. So we've covered quite a lot of ground, right? Do you feel better, Bukolo? You sure? And you, Jackie, I think we have a bit of work to do with you because you're still not trusting the process. But I just want to end off this conversation. We'll go to a break and then we'll come back for our last session. I picked up on something on the internet where it said the engine is the heart of an airplane, correct? We agree. But the pilot is its soul. So flying is not about learning mechanics. It's about the mindset. It's about preparation. It's about confidence. It's about making clear decisions, staying sharp, and trusting the process. My brother, I feel like you really, you embody all these things that are being said about pilots. I can't wait to fly with you. Maybe I have. I don't even know, right? You don't even know. But
what voice does he put on?
Right. Right. And really, and it's such an honor for me to also just call you a friend. But you definitely are Black excellence. You are African excellence. You are Asian African excellence. You are excellent. So thank you so much. We're just gonna go for a short break. It has to be a bit of a short break because we are running out of time.
10 minutes? No more than 10 minutes.
10 minutes.